Okay, we about to get into this Tupac Decoded situation. I was trying to play a song by Tupac, but I'm gonna try something I never tried before to see if I can, because I want y'all to hear it. He had a song called Ghost. I'm gonna read the lyrics. It say the only way for me to come back is like Machiavelli. Then he go on, he say, that's me. All these motherfuckers stole from me. I'm taking what's mine. He said, you motherfuckers can't stop me. Even if I die, I'm gonna be a fucking problem. Do you believe in ghosts, motherfucker? I mean, real live black ghosts. So the question being, if we talk about Tupac Amaru Shakur, we have to talk about military strategy, because in one place you hear the brother say, you hear the brother saying, I did everything righteous by the rules of war. So if he doing everything righteous by the rules of war, what is he talking about? Okay, so then he point out books that he read while he was incarcerated. He point out The Art of War. He point out The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. He point out several other books, but those are the two critical ones, because if you're going to do things according to the rules of war, you have to know what is he talking about. So you start with the most oldest of the war treaties, which was written by the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu. And we talking about now, let me do some invites while I'm on here, because there's some people that told me I'd be forgetting to invite them. But when you analyze Tupac and you look at it for what it really is, and you don't get involved in the games, just step back and look at what it is. What did Tupac say? What did Tupac do? Now, the first thing I have to take y'all back is a 1993 interview with Fab Five Freddy, because this is the foundation that all of this is built on. In 1993, Pac unveiled what you call thug life. The hate you give little infants fucks everybody. And in the process of this thug life philosophy, as he unveiled it, as Tupac unveiled the philosophy, he told us. Now, when you watch the interview, you cannot find it in its totality. There's a critical piece of the interview, no matter where you find it at, it's been edited. And that critical piece is when Tupac say, with this thug life shit, y'all gonna get to witness. You're gonna get to see the evolution of a man right before your eyes. You know, you're gonna get to see all of the missteps, the mistakes, the recovery. He tell you all of this stuff when he unveiled Thug Life. He go on in there and he tell you about how the industry was trying to rob him of his earnings. This is before he ever was shot in Quad Studios. And so if the industry is trying to steal his money, what is the remedy? Now, in that same interview, he say, I am a product of the ghetto. I'm the product of poverty. He said, when you learn to live in poverty, you learn how to relate. He says, so me growing up a Panther, I already went through all of my anger, but it's something after the anger. So what comes after the anger? So let's analyze emotional expression. So you angry, you got an attitude, right? So you got two options: negotiation or war. Now we're talking about going by the rules of war, because he said he did everything righteous by the rules of war. So in warfare, so first of all, you had to understand what warfare is. The only military philosopher that gives a concise and definite definition is a German military philosopher named Karl von Clausewitz. Von Clausewitz said that war is an act of violence to further a political agenda. All right. So war being an act of violence to further a political agenda. One of his songs you hear Tupac say, nobody dies unless we planned it. So, and another one, you will hear him say, right before your very eyes, you won't even realize that you can't see me. He there, but you don't see him. And so we get into Tupac Decoded. I wish I could get these videos to show for y'all because it would make this so much simpler. But since I'm not really proficient at add-ins on this right now, I'm just going to have to quote him and tell y'all where to find the information. The most critical thing right now is a Haitian Jack interview. Haitian Jack got 2 interviews. I'm going to see if I can put them in the comment section. All right, so now this Haitian Jack interview, let me see. This Haitian Jack interview that I'm about to load into the comment section, right? This is the first one. Wait a minute. Okay, that interview that I just uploaded. In this one, let me make sure it's the right one. Okay, so matter of fact, I'm gonna put both of his interviews in here, so y'all can see them, and then y'all know what I'm talking about. One of them, okay, so the one that I wanted, okay, this is the second one. So I don't have the other one on file right now. The first one, he talks about the voodoo conjure in Haiti, Haitian Jack. Now remember, this Haitian Jack, the one that everybody thinks set Tupac up, but coming to find out it was Jimmy Henchman behind it all the time. Now, Haitian Jack talking about the voodoo culture, and he said you can use it. It's black magic and it's white magic. You can use it to go whatever direction you want to, right? In another interview, he's pointing out something. He said from the time Pac got shot at Quad Studios, he had 22 months to vex his grievances. This Haitian Jack. He said, now do the math. He said, this is 2018, which was last year. He said, now it's been 22 years since Pac's death. And then he said, rest in peace, Tupac and Biggie Smalls. And then he said that this was some type of fabricated murder script by Suge Knight. This is what Haitian Jack's saying. He's pinning it on Suge Knight. I don't go for that in its totality, because if Suge Knight involved, Puffy would be equally or greater involvement with the whole scenario. But from looking at it from a military perspective, this was playing at a much higher level than Tupac would have been able as an artist alone to accomplish on his own. You got things coming in from multiple angles. You have street stuff, government, political stuff, and you have gangster secret society stuff going on here. So what is the thing that jumped out in Tupac's FBI file to me was the heavy involvement with a group called the Jewish Defense League. Now, this being real important to pay attention to. And it's not haphazard that they're in Tupac's FBI file as a potential extortionist attempting to extort Tupac. And if the FBI is aware of this, why are they not intervening, right? Or are they? Maybe they're intervening on a level that we can't see. And so everybody in the hood that's seen indictments come down know that Tupac situation could very well fall under that what they call secret indictment category, where they follow you around collecting information until they get you where they want you. So how do we unravel this? The first thing that we got to do to unravel this is go to Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince. In The Prince, you got to understand that Niccolo Machiavelli, one, he was in exile. You got to keep that in mind. Niccolo Machiavelli was in exile. And while he was in exile, there was a march by a family of royalty called the Medicis. And Lorenzo de Medici, or Lorenzo del Piero Medici, he was the one who was the heir to the throne. He was the crown prince who Machiavelli sent his greatest work, The Prince, to. At first, Lorenzo Medici didn't look at it. He didn't look at it. He sat it to the side for a minute, but one day he picked it up and he started to read. And from this book, The Prince, Lorenzo Medici goes to implementing the strategies of this advisor in exile called Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, I have to sidetrack here. I have to refer y'all to a movie, Hell Up in Harlem, where I think it's either Richard Roundtree or Fred Williams. I can't remember which one was in the movie. But the movie is about a drug dealer. No, about a pimp. He's about a pimp who is trying to be extorted by both drug dealers and the police. And in this movie, the drug dealers and the police attempt to assassinate him, and they shoot him, and he escapes to Los Angeles, where he's recovering. Then he recovers in Los Angeles. You go back and he take out all of his enemies. And this movie is based off of an urban legend. Now, we all heard the term in the hood called Mac. What's a Mac? A Mac is named after a street hustler and pimp named Machiavelli. Machiavelli, as a street hustler and a pimp. Now remember, Pac say his father was a street hustler and his mother was a panther. You got to keep that in mind as I go through this story. So this guy named Machiavelli, he changed the spelling of it to the same as Tupac's. Machiavelli, M-A-C-K, which is your origin of your term Mac. The Mac became distinctly different from the pimp, being that pimps did never want to be the one out front in the spotlight getting the attention. So that was what Max did. So in the hood, the legend of the pimp or the hustler that they called Machiavelli produced the flashy dressing, flamboyant Max that we see today, and the term being interchangeable with pimp, but they totally different in that one is a peacock and the other is an owl, so to speak. Like one of them, you know they exist, you know he there, he's a pimp, but you hardly ever see him. Whereas a Mac, you know he coming because he's bringing his entourage, he's flashy, he got a whole bunch of girls with him, he's diamond rings, gold chains, the whole shebang. The Mac is in there. Okay, so now, in the urban legend, this guy they called a Machiavelli, was attempted assassination on him. Now, this is like in the 50s or the 60s New York culture where this is supposed to happen at. I heard the same legend in Chicago, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which had a heavy pimp presence in the 70s. I heard it in New York. I heard the same legend in Atlanta. I heard this legend in New Orleans. Why is this same legend in all of the streets, but we don't remember it? And well, I had a very unique opportunity to sit and listen to old pimps and hustlers talk. And in the process of listening to these old pimps and hustlers and dealers talk, I get to hear certain things that they talked about in relation to strategy and hustling. And one of the things that they focus on was that story of Machiavelli, because they said that he was one of the smartest men to ever pimp hoes in the game. But in real life, I don't think that that was his name. I think that was a term that attached to him by the strategies of Niccolo Machiavelli being applied in the life of a street hustler. And I think he adopted that name, or he was attributed that name by other street hustlers who thought he was proficient in the art. And so this story of Machiavelli is exactly the same. He got drug dealers and law enforcement tried to execute him because they couldn't get in on his hustle. Now, the street rule is a hustler. If you're a hustler and you got goons and somebody is trying to extort you, the street rule is you eliminate them, period. You can't allow yourself to be extorted in the streets. So now when we're looking at the Tupac situation, we have to look at it from a hustler's lens. We have to look at it from a military lens, which is the most important, because he flat out said, I did everything righteous by the rules of war. So then we start seeing things going into Vegas. Now, before we get to Vegas, before we get to the shooting in Vegas, this is what we have to analyze. What did Haitian Jack say? He said he had 22 months to vex his grievances. And he said, do the math. This is 22 years later. Now, don't nobody know what Haitian Jack talking about because we so disconnected from our culture. 22 is what they call a master number. 22 is what you call the master's number. Now, the masters are like relay runners in a struggle. The masters are relay runners. Each one make the way for the next. Remember that. Now, this number 22 that Haitian Jack talk about, when he talk about the 22 months of vexation of grievances, this is a show. This is a show that all masters attempt to do at a certain point of their initiation. The purpose of the show is to call forth the next master. And so when you go to his Clinton correctional interview, at close to the end of the interview, he got to stop the reporter. And he tell the reporter, he said, if I don't be successful in what I'm doing, this next dude, he ain't gonna be so merciful like me. He not gonna be kind. He not gonna have no compassion. This is what he's talking about. But he made it his business to emphasize that to the interviewer. This next dude that come after me, he not gonna be so merciful. He not gonna show so much compassion. So he knew something, right? He knew something. So now, the next interview that we go to is what they call the Lost Vibe interview. Then he talks about his comparison to the Christ. He say, I got shot 5 times. And you go to naming them. You go, boom, boom, he's naming them. And then he go into this thing. He say, all of these preachers with these mega churches. He said in New York, they got churches that take up the whole block with gold ceilings and all that. He said, but the poor people can't go live in there. And he tell you that he think he's doing God's work in that video. He said, I'm doing God's work. He said, because I don't see no missionaries going out here to these kids in the ghetto. I don't see them coming down there feeding none of these babies in the ghetto. So who's going to speak for them? So when you're looking at the lens of Tupac, you got to see the whole story of what he doing. What is he doing? When you go back to the beginning and he tell you the thug life, he's going to show you the evolution, which is a process. Now, under the master number, the master keys is what it's called. Using the master keys of 22, Tupac is supposed to awaken Hiram as a right in the lodge, the travel lodge. And so if he's trying to wake Hiram, now he know this motherfucker gonna be woke in 22 years if he do this. But what all of the brothers in the lodge keep failing to remember if they have this key, is that no man can raise Hiram. It's not possible. Every one of them that becomes a master, like for instance, a good one is the collaboration with Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones called The Last Dragon. The Last Dragon was the same story. It was trying to get Hiram to awaken. When you look at it and they asking Bruce Leroy who the master, and he going everywhere looking for the master. And then in the final confrontation with Shonuff, he realized he'd been looking everywhere out there for the master, but the master has been in here all the time. Now watch the glow. Shonuff is red. He is your representation of the fallen one. And he riding through the whole hood. He's a terror. He's an asshole. He's a scourge. Bruce Leroy is trying to be a good, upright man. Fall in love with this chick they call Vanity. Vanity is there for a reason. This is all part of the master using the master key 22 to awaken Hiram. He was watching and laughed because they had the characters reversed, and where Shonuff was more of the type of character that Hiram was, whereas Bruce Leroy was too passive. So that one wouldn't have worked. That would have never raised Hiram if a man could raise Hiram. You go back into music, and then you hear Buju Banton talking about a mystical communication within that keep drawing us together. But we don't know what he's talking about, but we know it's something there that keep telling us that we need to connect. All in the 70s, you heard it. Bob Marley, Exodus, movement of Jah people in the 70s. Now, it's no coincidence that the Bob Marley Exodus album dropped in 78. It dropped in 77. It got big in 78. Also in 1978, Farrakhan launched a newspaper on his mission to rebuild the Nation of Islam called The Final Call. That's not an accident. That the Exodus album of Marley and the Final Call newspaper, they come out together, like right together, because it's a reason for that. What else is on the Exodus album? The redemption song. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We have to fulfill the book. So all of these masters is trying to wake up a particular master. This goes all the way back to Prince Hall. Goes all the way back to Prince Hall because the other Masons, your Scottish Rite and your York Rite, they got what you call broken keys. They had to get broken keys in order to prevent them from holding on to power longer than they were allowed to. Their power time was up in 1918. Their time was up in 1918. Now go to the prophecy and it's saying 80 years later, which is 2008. I got paroled in 2007. Do the math. So 100 years later, all right, Levi Dowling, also a Mason. He wrote 18 Missing Years of Christ. I was sentenced to 18 to 50. 50 is the number of elder in the righteous community. So 50 being the number of the elder in the righteous community. Why? Because this is what you call your galactic seat number. So a man attaining the age of 50, he attains the age of elder. If he done his diligence, coming up into the age of 50, then his elders or his status as an elder and his study to reach another level. And if he reached all of the levels it's called the unfolding of heaven on earth. And this is when a man becomes so realized that he see everything clearly. It's they call the moment of truth in bullfighting. The moment that the bull finally see the matador, regardless of the cape. Now notice, before the matador, you have a cape. That cape is called the veil. But at the moment of truth, the bull is about to literally die, but he finally sees the matador. That's the moment of truth. So Physical death and spiritual death are two different things. And you die spiritually, but you can live physically, or you can die physically and live spiritually, or you can do both. You can die spiritually first, live physically longer, then die physically, come back spiritually, and do it all over again. They call it reincarnation, but the Africans call it resurrection, because certain people can only come at certain times. So now when we're looking at the Tupac, the first thing that tell me something is not right. Tupac, time of death, 3:04 p.m. On a Friday. 3:04 p.m. on a Friday. Anybody that do their research automatically know that if he's having a cremation funeral on Sunday morning, you automatically know something ain't right. You automatically know something ain't right. Now, the whole thing rests at the beginning of it. You have to see that the first step, where is the first anomaly that's out of order? There's no way possible to have an autopsy, a cremation on a murder in less than 36 hours. And I challenge anybody to go in the history books and find a person that was actually murdered and cremated and had a funeral in less than 3 days. You're not going to never find that, because it takes a minimum of 12 hours to incinerate a body, a minimum of 12 hours, because of the bones and the teeth. They have to be incinerated as well. Everything had to be burned to dust. That's not possible. It's not possible, because if the coroner expedite autopsy to the front of the line, if he expedited, I mean, if he jumped the line on the other homicides in the area, skip all of the ones that was first and go out of order, because it's a job. They go in an order. But if he was like, this is a special case, this one has to be done first because of the police is saying this is a big deal. Okay. It take at least 4 hours minimum to do an autopsy on somebody, a natural causes. They do extra stuff in a homicide that can take them up to 8 hours to 16 hours to do one autopsy. So it's not possible to die, have an autopsy, be incinerated, and have a funeral in less than 36 hours. It's not going to happen on Earth. It defies the law process. Now, where's the next anomaly at? The next anomaly is an interview that his mother gave with Tavis Smiley when she said, don't worry about Tupac. Tupac lives his life. She just told you you're alive. How can you live your life if you've been assassinated? So you have Mopreme. Mopreme said he on a legendary path. Tupac ain't dead. He doing some legendary shit. But what is he talking about? Now, we got to go back again to the beginning. What's the beginning is the Fab Five Freddy interview. The Fab Five Freddy interview, you will see Tupac in a studio with various artists. Every single one of these artists has been a major industry force. Every one of them. There has not been one of them that at one point or another did not have a major hip-hop record. Now, at this point, you have to say, what is it all about then? Why would Tupac fake his death? Let's analyze that. So he's trying to show you right before your eyes how a guy can come from the gutter, thug life. He said, I'm gonna show you the evolution of a man. So he started off as this kid, fun-loving kid, you know, love everybody and everything, and you get to watch the life beating him down. You get to watch the reporters reporting bullshit. Every time he get arrested, this is a big fucking deal. Everything he do, they amplify it, right? So now, something happened in the Quiet Studio, which a lot of this stuff I'm not going to dig as deep as I want to, because there's some other stuff I would like to show y'all. The Quiet Studio situation is the springboard for the first 22 months. Now, what is the greatest sacrifice somebody can do? Self-sacrifice. because there ain't nothing left after that. Self-sacrifice is the greatest sacrifice you can do. Now, in that interview, when he's talking about acting, he said they're trying to do the same thing to me with these movies that they trying to do with my music. So before Quad Studios, he dropped the album, Me Against the World. By the time Quad Studio shooting is exposed, this is the biggest selling hip hop album and one of the biggest charting albums at the time. So he is being pressured somewhere, but he not saying. But what are they pressuring him to do? Well, they want him to sign these contracts that cause him to end up losing in the end because they don't pay. It's not that it's not in the contract for him to pay, is that the industry is designed that if you look like us, you are not allowed to hold on to the wealth, and that's for a reason too. When Tupac discovered this, he started talking to his elders. Who was his elders? Go back and watch an interview with OG T. Rogers. I'm not going to give y'all all of I want y'all to do the research on what I'm saying, so I'm not going to give y'all all of the links. That Haitian Jack link with the 22 months and the 22 years is very important. So I put that in the comments. Now, the only way for me to come back is like Machiavelli. All these motherfuckers stole from me. So he's trying to get out the imposters, what he say on his interview with Death Row East. He's trying to get the imposters out. Who is he talking about? He's talking about the Jewish Defense League. How do you know? Well, you know because everybody that benefited after the so-called assassination in Vegas that benefited. In law enforcement, when they teach the law enforcement agents about an investigation, they tell them to follow the money. Follow the money. If you follow the money, 9 times out of 10, you're going to walk right up to the door of the person responsible, even if they're not the trigger man. So now, when we follow the money of Tupac Amaru Shakur, right after the Vegas incident, I'm not going to say it's an assassination. I'm going to call it an assassination attempt. But right after the Vegas incident, hey, Jillian, against Death Row filed a lawsuit against Finney because Tupac hadn't been sufficiently paid for his contract. Machiavelli, the album, was the final product for his Death Row contract. You have Suge Knight saying that he mentioned something to, I think it was Jimmy Iovine. And Jimmy Iovine got so fucking excited, he was like, yes, don't nothing sell like a dead artist. Ain't nobody pay that no attention because everybody looking at Suge as suspect. But you got to look at it all. You can't neglect to look at what Suge telling you that Tupac ain't dead. Tupac not dead, son. Look at it. Tupac not dead. You got this rip on here talking about who paid him to set Tupac up and they ain't arrested him yet. You know why they ain't arrested? And then my man was like, because he snitched. And he said, no, man, no, son, be smart. Tupac ain't dead. If he did, they'd be arresting these guys for murder. I had Tanique Reviews had a good article from a newspaper that was investigating, and they went and talked to the lead investigator on the Tupac case. And in the newspaper article, the lead investigator that's currently handling the Tupac case, or that was originally on Tupac's case, said we had a lot of tips. He's saying the most credible tips say that Tupac is alive. Now, this is the officer that's the lead investigators, and big up to Tanique Reviews for revealing that information. And I'm going to give y'all a reference of Tanique Review, because when I listen to the brother, he don't come across as an inflammatory guesser. Comes across as an intelligent investigator and almost reporter-like in his investigations. And so he give out a lot of good information. So I'm going to continue on with this. So if Tupac is trying to come back like Machiavelli, right? Machiavelli is in exile. Machiavelli is sending the prince, which is the blueprint for a prince to rule. It's a blueprint for a prince to rule, right? Now he's doing everything righteous by the rules of war. The first thing that you discover once you know that war is an act of violence to further a political agenda. When you understand that, and before you get to the violence part, war is a philosophical, political idea that's pushed by war is pushed by people who want to dominate, control, or a resource that another people have. In this particular situation, because of the whole resurrection program of the ancients, everybody want to do things righteous at the close of the age, which is now. So if you want to do everything righteous, the first thing you have to understand is when you fighting an enemy that's an oppressor, he ain't going to give up. No oppressor wants to surrender a stronghold unless the opposition is so overwhelming that he cannot maintain his grip. Now, world history have a whole lot of mythology and mysteries. Now, when you say mysteries, what are you talking about? My stories. They got history, we got mysteries. They have history, we have mysteries. And if you have a mystery, then you are a mystic. If you are a mystic, then you are in a different category. Now, so if Tupac faked his death, there's a lot of numerology attached to that. What is all of these numbers? 7, 6, 13. These are the main numbers that Tupac is using in his what you call his riding. That's how he like to say it. He said, y'all see me do all my riding. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all gonna see me come up on a whole nother level. And so we watched him do his riding. So what he had to do is what you call create a compelling spectacle. 48 laws of power. Everybody need a copy. Creating a compelling spectacle. There's no spectacle more compelling than a celebrity being assassinated. We can go back and look at the deaths of any celebrity and you can see the result while masses of people are in mourning. So we started digging into this and we started asking a series of questions. If Tupac is alive, where is he? Did he go to Cuba? Nope. I'm gonna tell y'all now, Cuba is misdirection. It's too obvious. It's too obvious. I would pick Jamaica or Haiti or Belize before I would Cuba. But I don't think he went there either. Now, Tupac told T. Rogers that before the second shooting, mind you, before Vegas, he said, I'm going out with a bang on my own land. What is he talking about? I'm going out with a bang on my own land, on my own territory. Tupac is talking about before the false United States corporation assumed its authority under the orders of the papacy, Pope, and under the orders of the Crown of England to subjugate this land and these people because they were angry about the 13 colonies overthrowing the power of Britain. Britain's royal families are placed and held in power by the Holy Roman Church. The Pope is an imposter. When Tupac said he's trying to get the imposters out, look at every royal crest of Europe and you'll see that there's black people on it. Not because the people in there descend from those people. It's because those are the real royal families that's on the crest. All royal families of African heritage or of original earth heritage, the dark-skinned woolly hair royal families around the world, from Dravidians to the Ainu, to the Qian Yuan group who became emperors of China, to the Via kings of Europe, who was vicarious kings that were more wavy haired and kinky hair. because of admixtures of the Indus Valley, those straight-haired not Europeans, the straight-haired Dravidians that's dark-skinned, straight hair. The blood had been used from all royal families of the world in order to clean up a genetic spill that took place in Babylon. So you needed the royal blood, or you would have a whole cross-section of humanity that would be denied the right to a sin, which would violate the free will universe code of righteousness. And so when we're looking at the Tupac case, we're looking at something that's much bigger, because if he tell you he's going out on his turf, on his land, in his territory, he is exactly correct that it's his territory. He exactly correct. Everything west of the Rocky Mountains on the western seaboard, all the way down into Mexico, into Peru, is his territory. Y'all don't know who he is, so you don't understand his moves. That's his blood right territory. He had first claim of right, everything west of the Rockies, including the Rockies, everything south of the Canadian border, going into Mexico, Texas, all the way down into the Central Americas. He is the prince of that territory. That's his land. And so if he told anybody that he was a deity of any sort, he was not misleading or bamboozling you. He is one of the resurrected at the last age, at the closing of the age. He is one of the masters that's been set in place, but they should have remembered. This is why they have all of those matriarchal symbols on all of the secret societies. You have the bee, a matriarchal symbol. You have the termite, a matriarchal symbol. You have the ant, a matriarchal symbol. You have a monarch butterfly, a matriarchal symbol. You have the lion, a matriarchal symbol. Especially with the lion being a matriarchal symbol, and the master to raise Hiram having to be a master with a lion's grip. That master would have to be a feminine lion, not a masculine lion. But the masculine lion will show us how a man governs his pride. And so you have pride in family, and you have pride in what's right. But not what's right. You have pride in family, pride in love, but not right and wrong. You don't put pride in right and wrong as a judgment. So you don't invest your pride in judgment. You invest your pride in justice. It's a difference. Tupac, not dead, flat out. It was required for him to escape a massive onslaught of his enemies. Now, if he's going out like Machiavelli, then who would be Lorenzo Medici? Now, this would be the most critical part of understanding Tupac, because he said, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world. Everybody heard him say it. He said, but I guarantee you, I sparked the brain that will change the world. And he gave a valiant attempt. The only problem is, I don't care how many masters the lodge raised, no man can raise Hiram. It has to be a woman. It has to be the divine feminine. It has to be a female that embody all of the characteristics of a mother, of a sister, and of a daughter in one person, who is doing her due diligence to improve herself as a Leo. And Hiram would be watching this to determine if the mission is a success. Now, Hiram would be watching this Leo woman, but this Leo woman would have to be an offspring of another woman who would be called a Mimi. Now, you got to go back to the Nation of Islam, and they tell you that the devils was cast out of Mimi, and 7 of them, I believe it was, so that she can produce the most upright Caucasian woman in order to be a mother to the God. And so who's going to raise Hiram? And Tupac is instrumental in this. Now, and very few people know, Quincy Jones is very instrumental. Now, Quincy Jones said that the shooters Biggie on one occasion wore a Nation of Islam suit. And he also said that there was a shooter dressed like he was in the Nation of Islam from that was shooting Tupac. Quincy Jones said it, not me. And the interviews are on YouTube and they're not hard to find. And so if Quincy's telling you that these dudes is dressed like Nation of Islam, spoiler alert, Rizza Islam was the Nation of Islam brother who was present front and center at the death of Nipsey Hussle. Do we see a strange three-party coincidence here? I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything. I'm just pointing out some anomalies. Now, why would you want to stop the rise of a potential Messiah? Well, it ain't that they want to stop the Messiah from inciting the masses. They want to stop the Antichrist from taking control of the world. But they never taken the anti, which is not A-N-T-I, is A-N-T-E. Anti, meaning to precede or to come before. The word revelation means to reveal. So in the book of Revelations, in the first verse, the revelation of Isos Christos, which Theos gave to him to give to his servant to show and signify to his servant John. So now you got three people right there in the first verse. No, and you got the Theos. So you got four things taking place in the first verse. You got the Theos giving the Christos a message. And the Christos get his message to the faithful servant. The faithful servant then explains it to John. He explains it. So the revelation of the Jesus Christ that they give us in the book is the explanation of the one they call the Son of Man. Now, if you look at it, it say, and then appeared one like unto the Son of Man. This is not the Son of Man. It just looked like him. This is not the Son of Man. This just looked like him. This is the angel. So, one like unto the same Son of Man. So, I mean, a comparative analogy gave the revelation to John. Now, in this revelation, it talk about the rising of the false Christs, or the ones that precede the Christ. There's one way. Every time somebody say they Jesus, it's one way the world know, and all of the secret society crashed down on them. That's because they all been a man. They all been a man. The Christ is no man. That's the problem. The Christ is not a man. So now, when you see these Christ figures rise up as men with these long beards looking like Caesar Borgia or Serapis, these are imposters, and they are there for a reason, because they have to mislead you, but they have to leave you an opportunity to discover the deception. So even Tupac followed the rules according to the rules of war. It's better to win one victory by strategy than 1,000 by combat. And that one victory preserved this man's life until he can reach this one that he's been trying to find ever since day one. It's no coincidence that he was in Flint sleeping on MC Breed's couch when he didn't need to. It's no coincidence that he was sleeping on Jasmine Guy's couch and he didn't need to. He's going around to all of these places, to all of these hoods. He's looking for somebody. Because he want to tell this person that he's looking for, we ain't got to wait no more. The time is up. We can execute this shit. But it was still a couple of signs that he had not read. Had he known that, he would have knew that no matter what happened, that 22 years he had to wait could not be changed. He could not escape the 22 years in the master's cycle. So he get this from Haitian Jack. He get this from Haitian Jack. But only the masters is going to be able to read what he's doing numerologically and militarily and politically and economically, because you can't go to war broke. You can't go to war broke. Now, if you go back to Abraham went to war about a lot. This is a lot. You got to remember that. Your physical form is a lot. It's a piece of land, right? That's why they got you signing contracts. A con mean against something. Contradiction. That means to go against the diction, what's being said. You saying one thing, it means something. It's a contradiction. It's against the. So if they're giving you a contract, and tract is another term for land, a specific lot of land. So Abraham was going to war about Lot. When Abraham went to war about Lot, the king of peace, Melchizedek, sent him kings. That don't tell you how many. That's the reason for that. You have to go into Solomon to find out more. You have to go into the story of Abraham that's not recorded in your biblical Genesis to find out more. According to the story, as it is kept in the records in the Vatican, as it is kept records by the pyramid priests, the Melchizedek, the king of peace, sent 50 kings to assist Abraham in his war. Now, the Ethiopian word for king is Nagas, Nagas. Now, we all been being called niggas, and we've been thinking that nigga mean black. Nigga is the word that we used to refer to under the Candace queens as the kings and the princes were niggas. They were rulers. They were ruler gods. The ruler gods get their power from creator gods. They get their position and their power from creator gods. The creator gods are the females. The ruler gods are the males. So when you look at the Pride of the Lions, you see exactly how it play out when the lion's pride of females go out on a hunt. They telepathic. There's no way a 3-foot lion in 10-foot thicket spread out 50, 60, 70 feet from each other, will all zero in on the same bison, and they're not telepathically connected. They hived. Us as humans have that ability, but don't nobody want us to know it. Because the hive comes from a group of strong women coming together to maintain and protect their children. So now, what do Tupac say? He said, we haven't been able to have a family. He said we haven't been able to have fathers. He go down a whole list of grievances. Now, remember, 22 months of vexation of grievances is what you call the compelling spectacle. And he tell what all the grievances is. Now, why is he doing this? He's not the only one vexing grievances. There's an Ice Cube interview from 92, a year before Thug Life. This is a young Ice Cube, and this is a kid now. He's 23 years old when he's giving this interview at the oldest. And they're asking him about the message in his music. And Dr. Dre said it in a studio interview that we just reporters. All of us in this industry, we reporting what we see. He said nobody give a reporter crap about the news he report, but we get crap about the music we make. Now, we got to go to 91. In 1991, all major record executives, when the hip-hop was starting to become mainstream, had a meeting. They needed to control hip-hop. They needed to control the flow of the cash and the currency, and they needed a means by which to do it. This was in 91, and it's not a secret. It's a big deal in the music industry among the artists because they all know about it, but they don't know how to work in opposition. And the only one who had a plan, a viable plan, because he had some powerful people to bounce ideas off of, like Mutulu Shakur and Sekou Odinga and Mumia Abu Jamal and He had Geronimo Pratt. All of those, them some powerful minds we talking about. These ain't no gang leaders that just rose up. That's illiterate. These are men of mental, these giants that he's bouncing these ideas off of. Listen to T. Rogers. Listen to all of the OGs around him. Watch them women. You can't get information out of them. That's trained, well-trained women. They don't have loose lips. They don't have. Look at Yaki Mama. When she came out and she exposed the outlaws. Now, in this whole understanding of the Tupac situation, if you don't understand military strategy, it looks like he's the enemy by using the deception. But he's not the enemy if he oppress, if he used deception, and here's why. Under the art of war, or under the rules of war, which is a little bit different. The rules of war is galactic, the art of war is earth-based. Under the rules of war, you are allowed, if you are oppressed, to overthrow an oppressor as a ruler god, to use any means available. You use the truth and the falsehood. You use the good and the bad. You use the deception and the exposure of the deception. Now, if you look at YouTube, you see a whole lot of Tupac Alive channels and Tupac's Hoax channels and all of these channels, and they really got big last year. 22 years later, they really got big. But also 22 years later, the first appearance of Hiram was to go and do what they call an ancestral roll call for what's the brother name? Oh man, I can't remember his name. The one with the school, the one that was trying to open the school. Man, it'll come back to me. But anyway, so you're hearing there the ancestral roll call and in the after part. So some people got it on audio, video, whatever, but I don't know if they posted it or not, because I don't even know if they understand what it means to have a ancestral roll call, because that is the highest confirmation of your mission and your commission. And so, hey, what's that brother name? What, I'm gonna move past that. Anyway, so in that 22-year period, all of this exposure is coming. You had the Encini Station and your Tunique Reviews and your Lay Legends, and I can keep going. Out of all of them, the most investigative as a reporter style investigation to me is Tunique. Now, when you exposing the Tupac situation, there's a couple things that you got to pay attention to that most people miss. Let's take Orlando Anderson. Look at that jersey he's wearing at the fight scene in Vegas. You got to look at the jersey. Now, also notice that there are no casino security breaking up the fight. The only people breaking up the fight is civilians. There's no uniform security, and they have them in the casinos as well as civilian dress security. But you see none of the security that's in uniform coming to the fight. There's only one reason that happens in Vegas, and that's if you're doing a movie. If you're doing a movie, then only the people going to show up are the ones that you put there, your what they call your extras. Now, when you're looking at the footage, what are you really seeing? Ain't nobody whooping Orlando. Ain't nobody whooping Orlando. Everybody is strategically missing kicks, fake punches. That ain't no fight. That ain't no beat down. Anybody that been to the hood that's seen somebody get their ass whooped by the mob, by the crew, they put the boots to him, no, that wasn't no whooping. He get up with a scratch. We know that's not going to happen. In real time, in real life, that's not going to happen. And so as we go into deeper into, Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson was the one who got, I should say, Umar Johnson was the one who was working on the school, and it would have moved so fast it would have scared him and stopped calling it a school and called it anything else. But that's a whole nother topic. So, oh, Portia, you put it on there too, my John. Yep. So from there, in that 22-year period, Tupac is trying to reach out to somebody, a very, very specific individual. Now, you got to remember, he's coming back like Machiavelli. Machiavelli is in exile. If Machiavelli is in exile, he's reaching out for somebody. But there's only one person that he could be reaching out at this end, and that would be the one that the lodges call Hiram, who would be the son or the widow's son. They call her the widow's son because her husband was so-called assassinated by his brother and her brother. This is your Osirian resurrection story. This is not your Jesus of the Bible story. Osirian resurrection is the original resurrection story. And so this is why they have to keep playing a scenario of a crucified Savior before you. So when you go to these books, you can look in Kersey Graves' 16 Crucified Saviors. And at various times around the world, you have the same story, but you have a different character playing the story. That's the same resurrection. They have to keep this in your memory so you can figure it out. So they have to keep repeating the cycle. So they had to assassinate Martin because it wasn't time yet. Malcolm was a different purpose. Mega Evers. They had to neutralize those they're not allowed to execute, like Imam Abu Jamal, Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, all of the ones in that Colorado Supermax. They're not allowed to kill them. All of those black leaders in prison right now, especially the ones in the Colorado Supermax. The ones in Colorado are there because they want to stifle their influence. Now, notice that the ones in Colorado, they want to stifle their influence. Now, Mutulu Shakur should have been released. He's past his out date, and he doesn't have the prison record, but they don't want him on the streets because of his influence and his ability to think. No thinkers allowed. And so if Tupac going to reach this person that he's reaching out for, then somebody would have to be able to see through the myth in order to get to what Tupac is doing. It ain't just Tupac. He ain't the only one. Gene Deal did a whole video called Biggie, Just Like Christ or something like that, where he compared the whole Biggie assassination to the Christ. Why would he do that 22 years later? Now, this is March 9th would be 22 years for Biggie. Last September was 22 years for Tupac. I'm going to tell you, I don't believe either one of them dead. Personally, me. I don't believe either one of them dead. I don't believe Eazy-E dead. I don't believe that Nipsey Hussle is dead. Evidence to support any of these deaths. Now, when I look at the evidence doesn't say what they're telling me. The evidence doesn't reveal what these people are telling us in the news and in these shows. What the evidence says clearly is this. There was a government conspiracy under the counterintelligence program to execute Tupac Amaru Shakur. As a result, the contingency was put in play by various people. I can tell you who I believe, but I don't have the inside information to support this. I believe that the Black Liberation Army, Nation of Islam, and the Black Panther hierarchy of the real Panthers and not the pseudo-Panther agents. Not them, the real Panthers. You got to keep that in mind. Geronimo Pratt was not a Los Angeles Panther, but he was a Panther out of Mississippi, a California Panther. Geronimo Pratt, Mississippi. Why is that important? Because the Panthers in Mississippi were first, different, and had a different psychology. When they realized the level of infiltration of the Panthers in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, and various other places, the Mississippi faction of Panthers changed their name to the Black Liberation Army. Why did they change their name? They wanted to be distinguished from the group that was infiltrated. They wanted people that was wise enough to see the difference, to be able to know these are liberators. These are infiltrators, right? So now, what happened? Afeni married Matulu. Matulu is not a Panther, contrary to popular opinion. He's Black Liberation Army. Matulu is Black Liberation Army. Feeney was a Panther. Feeney had to find a solid individual to escape the infiltrators. I'm not going to get too deep into that right now. So now, in the decoding of Tupac, as we go down the line, so in the planning of the deaths, they got to have people in play that are totally clueless, which takes us to the movie in the Cruisers 2, when Eddie returns and his best friend is irate and he hurt. I was your best friend. You deceived me. Now, why is that scene important? If you see the Eddie in the Cruiser, if you see the Eddie in the Cruiser situation, see if I can pull some of it up. I don't know if y'all be able to hear it or not. But in there, Sal, which is his buddy. Now notice Sal's name got 3 letters, S-A-L. Sal's son asked him, is it okay if I go play with Richie? Names are keys too. Who would this Sal character be in real time? Whoever this Sal character be, his kid likes to play with Richie. Got to remember that. Sal's kid liked to play with Richie. That's no coincidence that my son's brother name is Richie. That's just not a coincidence. And so when we start moving into what's being said, what do Eddie tell Sal? He said, man, I couldn't take it. It was too much. So what did Finney say in the interview? She said, I wanted to fix it for my baby, but I couldn't. So he had to make her heart leave quietly. I just condensed some stuff from different parts of her interview into a sentence. So y'all find it in pieces in her interview. With the same interview where she talking about he chose to leave quietly, it's the same interview when she wanted to fix it for her baby. It's the same interview when there was nothing she could do. With all of the shit she knew, she didn't know how to stop these people from trying to kill her baby. So what do? He don't do nothing. But the contingency is executed to get him out alive. They have to get him out alive, to get him out intact. In order for him to be able to come out in 2019 with his next product, in order for him to connect with the Son of Man, Hiram, the raised one, and push this liberation to the next level. Now, I don't know this to be the facts, but I know our history. And in our history, we had a naming ritual. And we did it on both sides of the water, over here in the Amur Inca, and over there in the Afar Inca. On both sides of the water, we whisper every day until the child gave a coherent answer as to what their name was. You whisper it in their ear every day. And it had to be at the exact same time every day. And it has to be done by the mother. Only the mother can extract the true name of the child out. It can take as long as a year for the child to tell the mother coherently what their name is. Now, I believe, based on African conjure, not based on talking to Afeni or talking to Tupac, but based on my knowledge of African conjure and watching his family live the matriarchal family lifestyle and watching their understanding of the culture, I believe every day she asked him, "What is your name?" Every day. 9 months go by, and he finally answered her, Tupac Amaru. And when she looked it up and discovered who he was, if she didn't already know, she's like, "That's my baby," and I'm naming him that. Changing his name from Lazane Paris Cooks to Tupac Amaru Shakur. Now, the name itself has a meaning. The shining serpent or the wise serpent. What are they talking about? They're talking about the gold cord or the gold light, that little sliver of gold in the heart that only your goodness, sincerity, passion, and determination to do what's right will turn it on. There's no other way to turn it on. You got to be sincere. You have to mean it. You have to do your due diligence, your work, and you have to strive for righteousness at all costs. Now, as you do this, if you go look Manly P. Hall, he talk about the internal processes of alchemy. He's talking about what takes place in here, in the physical self. So Tupac now is in a good position to endorse anybody he want to. He can endorse anybody he want, but he's not going to endorse the wrong person. He's not going to endorse the wrong person. Now, who he going to endorse? He's going to endorse Lorenzo de Medici. He's going to endorse Hiram. He's going to endorse the one that's going to overthrow the beast. Now, go back. He said, "Mama, I have to fight the beast to rise." This is on his gotta rise, right? So why did the government's intensity in their search for Tupac and in their search for Assata last year take an all-time high? They had not looked for Tupac since '96, but in 2018, they launched an all-out investigation. The Federal Bureau of Investigations, Central Intelligence, and some other little shoestring organizations y'all probably never even heard of went on an all-out mission to capture Assata and what they call their unknown suspect. But on the picture, it looked like an aged Tupac. But he's the unknown suspect. And so they got pictures of Tupac. But where did they get these pictures from? The pictures that they showing that they are calling the unknown suspect, that they are attaching to Assata Shakur. That's how you know that this got something to do with Tupac. There's no record of Assata leaving Cuba, first and foremost. No record. They've been waiting on her to leave Cuba so they can sack her and attack her. There's no record. Now, this individual they're showing the picture of was taken at Benghazi. Now, you know Benghazi, while Barack Obama was in office and Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State, that when Benghazi went down, they would not send no support whatsoever at all. None. They knew who invaded it, why they was there, what they wanted, and what they was after. Instead of Obama, the so-called first black president, the one that was bringing the change that we haven't seen yet, in order for him to be what we needed, he would have made change in the black community equally as well as the overall nation, but he didn't do that. But when this event went down in Benghazi, what did he do? He got on the plane and flew out to a dinner while these people are being held in Benghazi at an embassy. This is the equivalent of an invasion, right? Your embassy is your country on a foreign land. It's your enclave is what it's called. It's your foreign enclave. It is the area that no nation is supposed to breach because it's considered an act of war. But Obama didn't do anything, nor did Hillary, and both of them received the calls while the situation was in real time hot. And they didn't send any help. And none of us, citizens, as they call us, none of the people in this land said nothing. We just didn't even acknowledge it. But the picture, go back and investigate. You will be shocked to see this picture being attached to Assata out the blue. There got to be a relation here to Assata Shakur in order for them to do that. And they're not showing you the relationship. So now, what would bring Tupac from where he is, wherever that is, to surface? It would have to be somebody that's military minded. It would have to be somebody that could talk to a general. Maybe somebody that understood that we need a war cry. We need a what you call it? A cadence, like I'm heavy in the rap game with this platinum style. I teach my baby girl and she laced with platinum now. Bitch made ass niggas that tried to hold me down. I keep a set of twin Glocks, fully loaded clips. I'm similar to quick draw when I hit the hip. Stay away from gunplay if you really want to live. A military mindset keeping me on top. I ride on this government until they pockets drop. Reparations helping black men clean up the block. Listen, niggas live a hard life. Niggas need relief. We talking about them projects, misery and grief. We all fall victim to this governmental thief. Taxation so hard it feel like changing me. No job for an ex-con. What I supposed to be? Violating my parole if I try to sell a key. Nigga, back to the pen before the count of three. This is real life. Get the game from me. You know I'm talking real life, pain and misery. Learn to spit this platinum style now, trying to clock a G. Refuse of being held down, time to break free, nigga. And so when we take the music, what is the importance or the urgency of the music and the art? Because there's no artist that's allowed to be wealthy. All of the artists that are allowed to be wealthy have to basically sell their soul, or they have to give up something so valuable in order to keep their soul. So they call it the rites of sacrifice, the sacrificial rites. And the reason that is until now, none of the royal families or the Grail kings was allowed to have, hold, and maintain a wealth, a family legacy of wealth, or a structure that will facilitate the passing on of a legacy. And if you don't know why that is, you have to go back to how we got here. Those videos I did previously. From there, you understand that all of the stuff you see around you is not exactly what you see. It's exactly not what you see. Everything that you think you illusionary slant on what's really there. How did they put the slant on it? They put the slant on it by put the truth in plain sight, then slant the narrative, the way the truth is being expressed and told. That's where the deception come in. And so Tupac would have to do what the system would normally just kill him for real, like John Lennon or Freddie Mercury. Now, a lot of people don't know why Freddie Mercury died, which directly ties to Tupac, by the way. First of all, his name of his group was called Queen, and they were all men. So that means that they give reverence to the feminine. Next thing, they made a soundtrack for a movie called The Highlander. Now, when you listen to that song, it says, I have the blood of kings. We're the princess of the universe. There is no man can be my equal. what he's talking about in there is what had them inject him with toxins, and they tell you that he had AIDS. He didn't die from AIDS. He died from, if they were AIDS, it was injected. He did not come down with AIDS from his lifestyle, as they had you believe. Freddie Mercury was assassinated like John Lennon, especially because he looked like Caesar Borgia, and he's using the right lingo in that song. That one song was enough, because he say flat out in there, if you don't know the history and the prophecy, it won't even matter. What did Moses do when he looked to the left and he looked to the right, and he did what to the Egyptian? Mama, I just killed a man. Who is he talking to? Queen of heaven and earth. What's the name of the group? This got him killed. This is the reason. Because out of the blood of kings, no man can be my rival. So he's talking about the Grail Kings and Freddie Mercury. Mercury is the name of Thoth in Greece, or the messenger of the god. So he definitely has to go. He's and then Freddie is slang for Frank. Frank is short for French. The French are the ones who killed the Templar, who was supposed to guard the Holy Grail. Fortunately, they sent the Holy Grail out, which is the bloodline of the red-haired princess Scotta. So they sent the bloodline to the west, where they left the Statue of Liberty to light the way. So now you realize why Tupac was so-called shot in the Empire State. Whose empire? What state? It's the Empire State. Whose empire? What's the name of the city? New York. Where is Old York? Where's the original York? It's in England. It's called Yorkshire, England. This is the New Yorkshire. It's telling you right there who owned the land. The British. The British own the land. But they don't really own the land. They own the cutout that is a false demarcation of the land. It's the Empire State. And that's why in the movie King Kong, he's not climbing any building but the Empire State. Why is he climbing the Empire State building? Because only the king of the Congo will overcome the empire. They telling you in their movies. Tupac knew this. What else did he know? He know that he ain't going out like that, because he flat out said it. Now, what else did he tell you? You say in time, all this gonna come out. He told you that early on. He said all this got to come out right before he, was shot in Vegas, or shot at in Vegas. I don't even believe he was hit, but he said all of it has to come out. All the secrets got to be revealed so that the people know. I did everything righteous by the rules of war. And so if don't nobody understand what he's talking about, they don't know warfare, they don't know military strategy, military doctrine. So now we go to Machiavelli, and then we go to Machiavelli. Niccolo Machiavelli writings won him favor with Lorenzo Medici. Now, Lorenzo Medici middle name is Di Piero, which means the dog. The dog star is Sirius. And the people of the dog star are dark-skinned, woolly-haired people called Dogon. All this ain't, none of this stuff is coincidental. These are all what you call keys. Now, by me never standing in the lodges, never walking through none of the lodges, Prince Hall, Scottish Rite, York Rite, the Shrine, there's no way I'm supposed to know what I'm telling y'all without having been in the lodge. They won't find my name on their lodge record. But I'm telling you how the masters try to awaken the next master. Tupac was trying to awaken the next master. Only thing that he did not realize, right, is that only a woman can raise Hiram. This woman has to have a mother named Mimi, and she had to be one of the jinn, and or something got to be related to the jinn, or a genie, or a genie. All this got to be tied somehow to an Orion 3-star Orion representation. Orion, Lake Orion, Orion Township. All of this got to be present when this Scorpio, being the only one that can rise from death to Phoenix, comes from the underworld, right? Goes through all of the phases. One of the phases is the wolf, by the way. That's not a coincidence that Lorenzo middle name mean the dog, and his first name mean a very specific type of tree. I forgot. It's a tree. It's no coincidence that Lorenzo means some trees, and the word Rodney, or the name Rodney, mean a forest. That's not an accident. And that Medici's were the blood Grail kings rising to power in Italy at the time, and that I'm the blood Grail king right now. I am the crown prince and the only heir to the throne. And so when he say 50 niggas, he only waiting on with these 50 sisters. Now, for y'all that don't understand why the 50 niggas or the 50 kings of the Melchizedek order and the 50 sisters are relevant. I'm going to show you where they're relevant. This is the rise of the Planet of the Apes and the relevance of the 50 niggas, as Pac called them, and the 50 sisters, as I call them. The 50 niggas is facilitators because they ruler guys and conquerors. They facilitators. They create a condition, situation, or circumstance in which the 50 sisters will find the least amount of resistance as they return to their power. And so this 50 sisters had to be represented by a 50-year-old guy who have attained the age of elder. So he got to be at least 50. He had to be the age of the elder. I turned 50 November the 10th. He had to be born under the zodiacal sign of the Scorpio, because the Scorpio is the only sign that can go from death to Phoenix, right? Scorpio has Libra, which is Mach, between Virgo and Scorpio, meaning between the woman and her protector lies the scales of justice. What did that mean? Now, if you go to the Secret Doctrine or Isis Unveiled by Madam H.P. Blavatsky, she tell you that Scorpio and Virgo was once the same sign. Something happened a long time ago where the Libra was put between them. Now, Virgo Scorpio became Virgo, Libra, then Scorpio, which means in order for the Scorpion, the backbiter, to be able to defend the maiden, because they call him the backbiter because his tail swings from the back to the front. The Scorpion King story, it's the same story. And so the Scorpion has to protect the Virgin Mary, Virgo. In order for him to get back to that, he has to get past the judgment. That's why you have the scales between them now, because the man and the woman are off balance. That's how do you know this? Look at the scales of justice. She's blindfolded. Mott's never been blindfolded. She has a sword of truth behind her back. Mott never hid her sword of truth. She always spoke with truth. Then you have the blindfold, the sword, and the scales are off balance. As long as the scales are off balance, that means that justice does not reign. If the scales are balanced, that's why your heart has to be lighter than a feather, right? What do that mean? That means that all of the iniquity in you, all your negative, all of your 7 deadly sins you have did a systematic elimination. Once you do that systematic elimination, the only thing left in you is the goodness of your divinity. And because of this, everybody has to attain their highest aspect of self, their divine self. Now, Tupac went through the whole industry He ran into some walls trying to get everybody they just do. But the only reason he couldn't is because at that time, nobody really was on a level enough to give him what he needed intellectually. He had everything that he needed militarily. He had everything he needed philosophically. He had every consort. The only thing he needed was a military strategist and an heir to the throne, and he'd have been unstoppable. He knew this. So 22 years later, he started making the scene ready for him to make his appearance in support of the one they call the Son of Man. And so, hey, we got some Virgos in the house. Hey, Brooks. Kavi, what's up, God? See who else I need to say something to. All right. I'm not going to get all of it. So, Tupac, based off military strategy with nothing else, can't be dead. If you follow it, he said he's doing everything righteous by the rules of war. He ain't dead. If you're following the rules of war, he ain't dead. Now, the whole thing, we go through this shit and we look at who is behind it then. Now, it was made to be confusing, so it's difficult to unravel. It's difficult to unravel. And trying to unravel it, you keep looking directly in the face because you got to follow the money of Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, and it was another one. Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, and Clive Davis. Now, you might say Clive ain't had nothing to do with it, but Clive was the bank behind Bad Boy. Clive was the bank behind the face. Almost all of the record companies that was black in the 90s was Clive Davis. Clive Davis is Jewish Defense League. Jimmy Iovine, Jewish Defense League. Ted Fields, Jewish Defense League. Tommy Mottola, Jewish Defense League. All the motherfuckers is dirty. All of them are the ones controlling the industry, that Hollywood. And in them controlling Hollywood, they have control over the artists through what they call the contract, the lien against the body. As long as they hold a lien against the body, then they can basically steal your soul, because they know a couple of things. This is what they know. That if you got the blood of the kings and you have male penetration anally, you are not fit to rule according to the code of the gods. So they try to get all of the male artists to engage in homosexual activity. And the ones that don't, normally they end up dying, or it looked like they did. If they resist what they call a homosexual right, then they're going to either try to rape them or flat out try to kill them. And the purpose is to make them unfit to rule. Yeah, Tupac ain't buying it. He's not buying it. So if he's not buying that, and he know they coming. They told him. They called him up on the telephone. They're gonna kill you. If you go to the Biggie song, you will hear at the beginning Biggie going over one of the types of phone calls that all of these artists get, all of these entertainers get, the death threats, where Puffy playing the skit of the phone caller and Biggie playing his part where he answering the phone and Puffy breathing from, I'll kill you, bitch. I'll kill you. And then Biggie like, oh, you soft, dude. You soft. Because they all had the same enemy. From what I'm looking at, I don't trust Puffy right now. Either Puffy, and I don't trust Snoop. Now, either them niggas playing their part too goddamn good, or them niggas is the police. They either playing their part too goddamn good, or them niggas the police. And I got reason to believe that Snoop might be an agent. Now, y'all got to do y'all research. research who Snoop's father was and how he got into the industry, how he even met Daz and all of them. Go back into his history. Now, if he hear this shit, he'll get nervous as fuck that I'm telling y'all to dig his history up, right? Now, remember 187, he was in the middle of a court case where a dude got killed. And his bodyguard shot a dude that was trying to shoot. He's got my attention. I'm going to tell you why. The way that the case went down, he had a legitimate bodyguard who had a legitimate firearm license, right? And this legitimate bodyguard with this legitimate firearm license and a legitimate firearm shoot at a shooter and kills him to protect the guy that he's bodyguarding. Every court in this country, that is called self-defense, but it's not defending the self. They got a law where a lethal force is legal in the defense of another life. It don't have to be yours. It could be your family, your kids. But in the case of the bodyguard, you don't charge bodyguards with murder when somebody is coming to kill their client. That's the biggest anomaly to me. They charged them. Why did they beat the case? They beat the case because you cannot charge somebody with a murder if their job is bodyguard. You automatically gonna win the case. So the powers that be got to know this because they didn't let bodyguards go before for it. It's the same place in the same geographical area in California, in the same county, where bodyguards and defended people and shot and got attempted murders, and they never charged them. And they got murders and they never charged them. Or they fuck somebody up, break a motherfucker, leave them permanently handicapped, but they don't get charged because they're defending the client. So, Kavi, who you say sold they sold? You gotta be more clear with that, huh? Tupac denied Quincy. Yes. Quincy was the one who was trying to initiate Tupac into the industry with that gay shit, and Tupac put him on blast. But when Tupac put him on blast, it had a different result because then he knew that the Grail Kings were returning because Tupac already was wired up as to what was going to take place when he met Quincy. And the way that he dealt with it show you that this was a little bit expected because he turned it into a joke. He turned it into a joke while he was talking to Quincy, and his cousin just so happened to be present so you can understand. And his cousin got an interview that you can go look up where he talk about the incident. Oh, Snoop. I don't know, man. I still got some more investigating to do on Snoop. But I believe he's an agent. I don't believe he sold his soul. I believe he's an agent, and there's a difference. It's an undercover cop, not a snitch. He the police. It's a difference. An undercover cop is not a snitch. He's the police. There's a difference. The trial, Kavi, I think, was a compelling spectacle. I think it was just to make him look like he was about to be martyred. But I don't think he sold his soul at that point anyway. If he sold his soul, it would have been much later, like in the last couple of years when he started doing that. Yeah, Jay-Z made the song The Evils. Jay-Z telling you something. If you look at his album covers, Jay-Z know what's going on, and I'm gonna leave that at that because I'm not finna drag Jay-Z out of what he doing because I don't want to interfere with his progress. I know what he doing. I know what Trump doing, and I can't really go too deep into that, but Trump wants the wall for the Exodus. The wall is found in Operation Cable Splicer in the section of the Readiness Exercise 1984, which is a critical year. In the end result, right? There's a whole lot of information that, unless I directly talk to Tupac, I'm not going to put out in the public. But I'm going to tell you this. Every single thing that you see in a photograph, analyze it. Every name, number, date, and who's in the photograph, analyze it. And you're going to start finding stuff that don't belong, out of place stuff that don't fit. Write those things down and catalog them, and you'll start to see the story unfold in front of your face. So in unraveling what took place with Tupac, I'm gonna flat out tell you, Tupac was compelled to go to Vegas against his will by the attorney, Kenner. Kenner got a court order for Tupac to do community service in Vegas. Now, if you in California, why the fuck would they send you to another state to do your community service? You got to remember that. That's unheard of. The next thing is, if Pac don't go to Vegas, they are threatening to pull his bond money. This was the threat from David Kenner in the court. So the government is trying to get him to Vegas at all costs. You think he's not going to see this? All right. He got some high-powered mental thinkers with him. His mama ain't no slouch. Yasmin Yafula ain't no joke. Them the women that's closest to him. Then he got Mutulu Shakur. He got Geronimo Pratt. He got T. Rogers. I can just keep going on all of the mind power that he got access to. That it's rare for one of the youngsters to have that kind of access to the minds of the elders, because they don't want us communicating across the barrier of age. Because if you take a 50-year-old dude like me, and I got 10 Tupacs, I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. Fucking 50 of them niggas? If 10 of them unstoppable, imagine 50. Okay, now imagine 50 sisters with it. Now we got what you call the 100 monkey effect. The 100 monkey effect is required for resurrection. So they don't want you to know what it is and that it applies to us. It's the hive effect of the women. And you need 100 people to see a survival mechanism that works before the whole of the clan assimilated. What do I mean the whole of the clan? Everybody connected in the hive. Everybody that's not in the hive, they won't assimilate it. That means the unrighteous. And you can make yourself unrighteous and forfeit your rights of ascension on your own without nobody helping you. You forfeit your right of ascension by not doing the self-work to become a better person. And so if you do the self-work, you're going to make the ascension. But those who don't do the self-work, them are the ones that's going to be walking around like they 30-year-old just turned autistic. Some of these dudes that has been oppressing women for so long are going to be kissing these women ass and they ain't going to be able to get a date. That pretty ass nigga, they treated them women like shit. Every woman want the woman that every woman want. That nigga ain't mean shit no more. Because now, as we move into the next cycle, the men are going to have to earn the right to lead his clan. He ain't going to be able to do like before, you know, where he can just buy a chick. She for sale. It's not going to work. And so in understanding what Tupac did or what happened, so they compelled him to Vegas. What did he do? What was the countermeasure? Now you remember they playing chess. They playing fifth-dimensional galactic chess. And Tupac see it coming and his elders see it coming. They got to get him out. There was a movie being filmed. If y'all looking, y'all investigate, y'all find out this to be the facts. Tupac was filming a movie in Vegas at the exact time that this stuff happened. It was called the 3-Day Theory. It went from the 3-day theory to the 7-day theory. How did it go from the 3-day theory to the 7-day theory? Well, it wasn't the 7-day theory until the album came out. He changed it. Because originally what the movie was going to do, had they not tried to kill him, had they not attempted to assassinate him, what the movie was intended to do was Tupac was going to do this movie. They were going to assassinate him in the movie. And when they assassinate him in the movie, he was supposed to come back 3 days later. That's why it was called the 3-day theory. It became the 7-day theory when he had to reach the 7th sun. Now he have to start incorporating them 7s. So everything start falling in the 7s. Because now he got to let them know that, hey, I'm trying to open the way. So this is why you see the 22-month vexation of grievances in the 22 years. This is the master number. That's when you do the math, that's 4,400. Drop the zeros because they just placeholders. It's 44, the angel number. So if you got 22 years and 22 months, it equals out to 44, the angel number. The 222s, that's the angel number. You got to remember that. Who is the angel? Angelos. The justice, the angel of justice, Melchizedek. You got to do all of this is relevant to decoding what's going on with Tupac. Now, when you look at the industry afterwards, in the aftermath, the sheer volume of music, even if he did 3 songs a day, it's too much music. And he didn't have time to do all that traveling and do 3 songs a day. He might have did 3 songs a day for 4 out of 5 days. But you got to remember. Now, before this, he only out 9 months before he so-called gets shot. 9 is the number of gestation and birth. He out for 9 months. He did over 100 interviews all over the country. Where is he recording these 3 songs a day at? Y'all math is flawed. If y'all believe that he recorded straight for 9 straight months, 3 songs a day, your math is flawed. Because there's no way he's going to do 100 interviews or so in that 9 months all over the country and recording, unless he can split himself, unless he can express himself in his multidimensional form, which we're not allowed to do right now on Earth. We ain't allowed to use our multidimensional form to fill 2 places at one time unless we have a special permission. So he didn't do that. So a lot of the music came out what you call post-mortem. Now listen to the music careful, and you can hear the change in his voice as he ages, as the music is coming out. You can hear it. It's not even very hard to catch. It's the same voice, but more mature. Like the song that he got with 50 Cent, to Machiavelli returns, it's all eyes on me. In there, where he just come out just mashing. That song, that voice is a more mature Tupac voice than on any of his prior songs. Same with Ghost. And then you hear artists, I'm not going to go into none of them, y'all can all do the research and find out who they are, that sound like Tupac. Listen to the content and you'll know the difference from sounding like Tupac and writing like Tupac. You got some artists that sound like him and some artists that write like him. And that becomes revealable when you listen. The content of a song is a little different than what he would write. Then he didn't write it. The content. Now the voice, you got people that change their voice all the time. and can get pretty close, but the content you can't fake. You can't fake personality of a person. So, yep, still balling. You can't fake the personality of a person effectively enough to imitate their thought. You can imitate their mannerisms and their voice, and you can even quote things they said in the past. But if you have to write a song, you can't imitate that. Now, you use the techniques of the forensic profiler to determine which one of these songs is really Tupac. And so when these songs that's coming up as new Tupac releases to the content. Now I'm gonna tell you one of the best ways to know a post-mortem recording song. The content will never talk about anything like current. Even for the error, it won't talk about a current event. It'll be more philosophical. Like in the song goes, he got a whole lot of a 7 deuce full of niggas try to roll by. I thought I was tripping second time I saw it roll by. And he going over the whole murder scenes, these different murder scenes, but he's not talking about any current event. Now, in them songs, one of his songs, he talk about the Mexican version of Tupac. Now, I don't remember this guy's name because I only recently ran into him not too long ago. And this guy's sister got raped and mutilated by some gangsters in Mexico. And they put a hit on him and they supposed to took him and killed him and everything. And they say he faked his death like Tupac did because the mob, the Mexican mafia was after him for whatever reason. But when you listen to the song, Tupac say he got a call from his homie. They raped his sister, cut her face up bad. So he said, so we had to murder their ass or something like that. It's the same story. He telling you what happened to that guy, and that he went with that guy to go clean it up. That's some soldier shit. But if you don't know who the Mexican Tupac is, when he said that in his song, it won't never match. It'll just be some bars. It'll be some nice bars. So the whole scenario, you get to Vegas, he's filming a movie. All right, now, he's at a Mike Tyson fight. Mike Tyson is very relevant because Mike Tyson is the only one, no matter how many views he give and how much love he tell you got for Tupac, he never talk about details of Vegas at all. He'll never go into any details about, well, I was in my locker room when I got the call, or I had just left the hotel, or he won't do that. He'll be upset that Tupac not here. I seen him crying on an interview the other day about how much he missed Tupac. But he's not going to tell it. Mike know what's up. Mike know Tupac not dead. Jay-Z know Tupac not dead. Puffy know Tupac not dead. Suge know Tupac not dead. Nas know Tupac not dead. 50 Cent know Tupac not dead. Eminem know Tupac not dead. The Outlaws found out later that Tupac wasn't dead, but they thought it for a long time. The only one that never believed it was Hussein Fatal, who I don't think is dead. He was the only one that caught it quick because he never said Tupac was dead, never believed it. He always said, he's like, he never flat out say Tupac not dead, but what he'd say is, yeah, I don't get all off into that. That ain't, I don't think that's what they say it is, or things to that effect. But he always shows skepticism at the assassination of Tupac. Suge flat out said he ain't dead. Tupac ain't dead, son. Don't be a fool. Now, if you want to see Tupac, if you want to see him surface, he'll surface, but he not gonna surface until he know that the success in heaven guarantees the success on earth, and that the success in heaven has been effectuated. So there's no more opposition on earth. In other words, what that means, in short, when he realized the order given to clean up the aftermath of this Babylonian onslaught, when he realizes that that order is on the floor, then he comes out to show himself and to show you that Hiram knew what he was talking about. And so when you get to Vegas, the fight scene with Orlando was staged. Now, this is why I say it was staged. When you look and examine the footage, there's Black Liberation Army members, there's security on post, almost like FOI security, but they're not fruits because they got on specific identifying markers as to who they are. I'm not going to go into what they are because it's enough Tupac Alive channels to show you what they are. When the fight with Orlando kick off, one of the guys do like this and look back straight. And he not even 10 feet from the fight. He's not 10 feet from the fight. Even if he's a civilian, he'd be trying to at least get away from the fight. This dude don't even do nothing but look at the fight and turn his head like there's no fight. That means he knew it was something up. He knew it was something other than what it looked like to us because he didn't move. He didn't respond in a way that a civilian would if he was next to a group of crazed African Americans fighting. He didn't behave in that way. None of the security did. As you look at it, the only ones that's really reacting are the ones that's in the entourage just breaking up the fight. So you got several guys that's in the entourage looking like they're whooping Orlando, but ain't none of them really hitting him. If you ever seen what we call it in Pontiac, we call it the Briscoe stomp. When you fall down, you get stomped. Them the rules. Don't fall in the fight or you're going to get stomped. Them the rule. Briscoe stomp is what we call it in Pontiac back in the day. The youngsters might call it something different now. But when you look at the situation, Orlando wearing that number 13 jersey, when you get to the hospital, Yaki Gaddafi is wearing a number 13 jersey. Damn near look the same. Now, it's several days of footage. In a couple of days, he wear a different number. But one of the days he have on the same jersey Orlando have on. That was an odd coincidence to me. That was an odd coincidence. But now there is no actual NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, CNN news footage of any of the scenes in Vegas. None. All of the news footage that they showed on all of those channels came from the same person that owned the rights to all of the news footage. How is that possible? It's a company that actually hold the rights to all of the footage. Now, this is further tell in Hollywood when they filming a movie, they do something they call a multiple set shoot. A multiple set shoot meaning that they're shooting in multiple places at the same time. Look at the pictures of the BMW that Suge's supposed to have been driving. There's 3 distinct different vehicles at least, at minimum. 3. There's a hatchback BMW, there's one with the chrome rims, and then there's one with the gold rims. The one that's the hatchback are more close-up footage at a slight angle where you can barely tell it's a hatchback because it's getting most of the front of the car. That's one scene. The background, you can hardly really make out what it is, but you can make out that it's different. The gold BMW, the black BMW with the gold rims, got a different background than the background with the chrome rims. They 2 different blocks, right? Now, one of them, there's an ATM across the street with a camera on it. That could have that probably more than likely caught the shooters. And in Vegas in 1988, all of the corners in Vegas was equipped with cameras. So if it was an actual shooting in Vegas, it's on camera in Vegas. In as early as 88, 89. they've been able to film block for block Vegas, full intelligence. They know everything moving in Vegas ever since 88, 89. So there's no way that Tupac gets shot in Vegas and don't get it caught on the cameras. Now, you got 3 different BMWs. No blood on the ground. They said that the shots went through the windows. Now, we all know that anything bigger than the 22 going to shatter the window. They say he was shot with either 9 millimeter, 10 meter, or 40 cal. Them some pretty hefty shells. If any one of them go through a regular window, it's going to shatter. There's no shattered glass nowhere. So that tells me that this is most likely a prop, a setup, a set. So now we know he was doing, his attorneys is trying to get him into Vegas, which makes him set the movie set up. We know that Orlando, Baby Lane, had the number 13 jersey, which represents the Queen of Heaven and Earth, which is a matriarchal symbol or a number. We also know that Yaki Gaddafi I don't know where that came from. Oh, hold your head. Just start playing out the blue. Wow. I might want me to stop there, but I ain't. All right, so now we got 3 different vehicles, 3 different crime scenes. Look at the background, you can see the crime scenes being different. People don't pay that no attention because they're so focused on the interviews and what's taking place. Now, there's another video that show all of these cops out here walking around. Or they standing around, they're not doing it, they're just standing there. And somebody is filming while the police are talking. Whatever they're talking about, it's not a police investigation taking place. You have to look at all these things for what they are. Now, in the videos that came out to follow, they show you the airlift. Now, the lady in there say that he was airlifted to the hospital. There's no record of him being airlifted because, according to Suge Knight and the paramedics, he was driven in an ambulance. Or was he? So now we go into the lookalikes. I'm not going to deal with the lookalikes. That's a whole video by itself for the lookalikes. I do know this. Tupac wasn't nobody fool. They called him Tupac Amaru for a reason. This government has been slaughtering us as we rise to prominence from the beginning. This government, this imposter rogue government. Another thing is the doctors telling Tupac he's not gonna die. Now you got Eric B telling you lie. The doctor telling him ain't no way you gonna die. But don't nobody acknowledge it or pay it any attention. So in what you see in the aftermath, when you follow the money. Now remember, every dead celebrity the last 50 years that died of mysterious circumstances, the circumstances like assassinations, overdoses, and strange sex murders all have the same 3-letter organization in the FBI file, the Jewish Defense League, all of them. Black, white, it don't matter. They all in there. They all have been extorted the same. The next thing is that in Tupac file, they was heavily at Tupac. They was offering him protection. They was trying to get him to sign to other deals. This is the Jewish Defense League. They primarily use Jimmy Iovine and Ted Fields to oversee Interscope. And Interscope is who distributed Ruthless Records, and they also distributed Death Row Records, and a few other independent black labels at the time that was pretty big. So, to flat out tell y'all why he faked it, the Jewish Defense League put a hit on Tupac Shakur. Ain't no doubt about it, because there's nobody else trying to kill him. It ain't no gangsters out of New York, and it ain't no gangbangers out of LA. The Jewish Defense League, in cahoots with Central Intelligence, FBI counterintelligence program, put a hit on Tupac. When they put the hit on Tupac was after the police shooting in Atlanta, right? You got to remember this. He shot 2 off-duty police officers in Atlanta. A lot of people think that this was a script. It wasn't a script. He shot these police officers because of what they was. He didn't know they was police officers, first of all, and he would have never shot at them had he not seen their firearms, because he believed in protecting himself. Now, remember, I told you, in defense of others, you can shoot somebody in defense of others. So he was acting in self-defense according to the law by defending somebody from overwhelming force that could cause their death. He can meet that force with the same level of force. So they can't charge him, really, especially when they find out, 1, the police are crooked. They're crooked cops. 2, they're carrying the guns that were stolen from the evidence room. So the guns they was using to shoot back at Tupac at the limousine were guns they had stolen from evidence. Okay, now, so he shoot these police, he get away. Now his record sales, the trajectory change. They already know he's a child of the Panthers. Now, originally, the person that was supposed to have been in the position Tupac was a rapper by the name of Paris, who wrote an album back in the late 80s, early 90s called Bush Killer. He was originally supposed to come out and organize everybody. But when it was discovered that Tupac had so much talent beyond just the music, and that Paris was a money handler, an investor, and he understood the financial stuff better than he could ever write music, he switched over to finance, right? When he switched over to finance, then the whole mechanism pushed Tupac. We talking about the liberation mechanism, not the oppressor. When you are under oppression, your liberators sometimes look like the oppressor, because you have to use every tool to escape the oppression. The good and the bad, the truth and the lie. If you neglect one half of it, you're sabotaging yourself. You have to find where to divide and conquer it, and you need a dog in every fight. The minute you neglect to put a dog in the fight of the divide and conquer, you are sealing your fate, because that's where they coming. That's the door that they can enter. You don't have a dog in that fight. And so when you look at the whole Tupac thing and you realize the Jewish Defense League, David Kenner, Ted Fields, Jimmy Iovine are the only ones made money. Now, Suge, I would have thought Suge was in on it too, but Suge didn't make no money. Suge lost hundreds of millions of dollars on this whole scenario. Suge lost hundreds of millions of dollars, whereas Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, and David Kenner are the only motherfuckers that didn't lose. Even the guy Harrio is in prison. Gave seed money to start Death Row, didn't make no money after Tupac got killed from Death Row. There's only 3 people that made money. Now, if you follow the police investigation, it makes perfect sense. Only 3 people made money after the Tupac assassination. Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, and David Kenner are the only ones took home cash. They're the only ones took a check. Them the only 3 people got a check from Death Row after Tupac got shot. All of the money stopped Machiavelli tell you that all of the money stopped coming in from the record label, so she a wicked woman for not being while Suge was gone. Suge got out and wouldn't touch it. Suge got out and wouldn't touch it because he already know if he try to resurrect Death Row, they at it. So you see, they put a hit on Suge because Suge know what's going on. They put a hit on Suge, and the hit was first taken by some shotters from Africa. I ain't gonna go into that, but he got shot in the nightclub. While he recovering, they start filming the All Eyes on Me movie. Now notice, 22 years later, they want to make All Eyes on Me. Do the math. Why would they do that? If they don't do nothing without a reason. If you think they do anything haphazard, don't do nothing without a reason. Everything they do, there's a reason for it. Now I'm gonna show you. When they making this movie, they using Suge likeness. Suge first go to Cube. Cube was gonna allow Suge to get their money for using his likeness. So he go talk to Drake. And next thing you know, Suge got a murder case. And some people dead trying to kill Suge. I never seen anybody cop out to a self-defense case, which leads me to believe that it's more to it than we seeing. Because that is a clear-cut case of self-defense. Now, my answer for it, what it could be, would probably be Suge may have been getting ready to reveal something that they didn't want him to reveal. But there's an anomaly that goes to Suge's incarceration, and that goes back to Gene Deal. Gene Deal said that they was over, I think he said it was Andre Harrell's house. And while he was over Andre Harrell's house, Puffy was going up the stairs. And he said, I don't care if Tupac died, I don't care if Biggie gotta die, and I don't care if Suge gotta go to prison for the rest of his life. I thought that was odd. Why he didn't say I don't care if Biggie gotta die, if Pac gotta die, if Suge gotta die, I ain't dying. But that ain't what he said. That makes it become an anomaly. That makes it become a point of focus. What is Gene Deal saying? What do Puffy know when he's saying, I don't care if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, and Suge gotta go to prison forever? And nobody is acknowledging or paying Gene Deal attention in that regard because they're looking at it as if he's violating the code of the streets. First of all, as a bodyguard, his code is a little bit different than everybody else's because he had to follow the code as a police officer and not as a snitch. It's a difference. A police officer and a snitch are not the same thing. The bodyguard is what you call a civilian police officer or a sharif. A sharif is an Islamic term that we know today as the sheriff, but the sharif was the ones that did bodyguard work under the tents of Kedar to keep the people safe from the rogues, from those patriarchal homicidal maniacs, the Sharif. They came over here and they got the title of sheriff. Now, that's why policemen wear 5-point badges and sheriffs wear 6-point badges. That's just, all that symbolism means something. Now, when you're looking at the case with Tupac, if you follow the money, you know who behind it. You know who behind the attempted assassination. It's clear and it's not a secret that behind the assassination are the people that control Hollywood. Hollywood itself is controlled by what you call Zionists. It was started by Zionists. As a matter of fact, the first prime minister of Israel, Golda Meir, was related to one of the founders of the MGM, or Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studios. Golden Meir is Meir. It's the same name, exactly the same spelling, but they call it Metro Goldwyn Mayer, but it's actually Metro Goldwyn Meir. Goldwyn is another one. Goldman Sachs and Saks Fifth Avenue. They all tied together with this money. Black people weren't allowed to hold family and generational wealth during the cleansing process because non-white people had to have a chance to rule, shine, and be on top. Their time is up. And that's why in the nation they say that the devil had 6,000 years to rule. Well, that really haven't been that long because they first had to come to power. They only been in power about 2,700 years. But they've been around almost 9,000 years. 8,000. And it took us almost 1,800 years to find out where they were and what had been done to them. So you start to see the cleanup by first civilizing the island of Crete. And so when you look at the whole Tupac scenario, Tupac being born one of the sons of righteousness, with the bloodline of the Holy Grail, knowing who he was trying to contact, and he came all the way up to my city, went past my city in order to go hang out with Breed. He never looked for the chief of the two feathers. That's what he was missing, Chief Pontiac. The chief of the two feathers up his second, meaning he's standing on the truth. That means the one that speak with the sword, the truth, cutting both ways. Had he done that, he would have interfered with the resurrection process now. So he wasn't allowed from the elders that y'all can't see to make contact sooner. Now, as y'all start to understand who was behind it, and you start to understand that the Zionists that's behind it don't want to do what they were instructed to do thousands of years ago. They became ambitious and greedy and decided they was going to take over the world because Enlil don't want humans to return to a matriarchal system. And Enlil don't want the humans to discover the atrocities that was done with the making of a Gulam in Babylon. And so what do? All of the artistic men, the creative men. Now you notice you have creative and non-creative, right? What do you mean by that? You can't be creative as a male unless you have assimilated using your masculine. You draw from your feminine to become a creative male. In the realm of the lesser gods, the ruler gods, the creative male is the bridge between matriarchy and patriarchy, and also the guardian between patriarchy trying to clash on the matriarchal system. So when you look at Tupac's whole family is matriarchal. Everything they do is under matriarchy. They operate, they move all matriarchal. Even when you look at the movie Panther, in the beginning, now they don't do nothing by accident. Remind me, I told y'all. Now, when I mentioned Christopher Columbus and how we got here, and I tied you to Colombo, I left out why that was significant because it tells you what Christopher Columbus was doing. He was investigating. He was an investigator. He was going in search of. What was he searching for? The new land, or the new lot. The new land, the new lot. But when he got over here, he discovered there's a whole world over here that's new to us. We never knew none of this. We were told we was going to fall off the edge if we tried to find this place. This is the new world. We go back and report to Ferdinand and Isabella, right? Go back to what they call the Spanish Inquisition. and then it'll start unfolding to you who the rogues was. You can't be a despot as a ruler because you automatically the heavens send somebody in human form to get rid of you. If you got the blood of the Holy Grail, it has to be somebody with the person that does it, and the ones that sent them will get a backlash. They don't want that. They have to send the gods to kill the gods. That's why every black organization and every black figure that's prominent is always put down by a black hand. Go back to Germany, and the woman that tried to expose the rise of Hitler was executed, and they left a note over her head in the wilderness that said, "Bitch, you have betrayed the fatherland and you have been judged by the black hand." So go to Italy, La Cosa Nostra. When you get to Italy, La Cosa Nostra are called the Black Hand. When you go in the South, you hear about the most deadly organization called the Black Hand. The Jewish Defense League symbol is the black fist. That's not an accident. The Jewish Defense League symbol is a black fist. That's not an accident. Now, you got to go look at when they were incorporated and when they started using a symbol in order to find out its relevance to anybody using the black fist. Controlled opposition is when you control both sides of a conflict. If you are aware that your enemy is using a controlled opposition, what do? You wrestle control of position from the enemy. So if I was about to be assassinated and I'm aware of this, then my remedy is to put a counterplay where either two things: I outright thwart it, overthrow the people that sent them, and get rid of them motherfuckers. But when they too deep, when I don't have all of my tools in place in order to overthrow these motherfuckers, I have to get my alliances in order. I can't do my alliances and I can't make my connections and keep them in order if I'm dead. So what do? I can't keep running out in the open. I'm what you call a sitting duck. I have to get to a position of camouflage, concealment. Right before your very eyes, you won't even realize that you can't see me. And so then it started to all make sense. Why would Tupac fake his death? Why would Tupac fake Biggie death? Why would Tupac have Suge Knight look like he in prison? And how are they getting all these movie sets? Because they're still using movie sets. How do you know they're using movie sets? All you gotta do is look. It's obvious. It's obvious. Look at camera angle. It's the same angles that they set up at talk shows. That's a movie set. If you catch a random interview, it's not gonna look like a talk show set. Or it's not gonna look like after the game interview. It's not, the filming angle is not gonna be perfect. Like even now, I'm doing a live video. But if you look at my background, like over here, you see all my weight equipment and my workout equipment. You know what I'm saying? And over here, you see something else leaking from behind there. That's not a set. Because if it was a set up, then you wouldn't see none of that. Right? An outside set is a little different. You have to look at the background and the timing. Okay, now in a movie, you have cars that and if they want the traffic to look a specific way, they send the car out, 1, 2, 3, another car out, 1, 2, 3, 4, another car out, 1, 2, another car out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count the interval between the cars and determine it's a set. Most people don't know that. You can count the interval between the cars. If they fall on an exact interval, and then it'll be cyclic, because they don't want to confuse drivers and make a car accident on set. So they'll run the vehicles in the background will run with a certain amount of spacing between them according to when the car was instructed to pull. Right? Now, watch your extras. In a movie set, the extras don't look around ever. They always look straight ahead and keep moving. Unless they instructed to look around every now and then on a movie set, you have a extra that look back or whatever the case may be in order to catch the right shot. But most movie sets, the extras, they don't know which way the camera is. So they walking. Right? If they know which way the camera is, human nature, they get curious, they kind of cut their eye a little bit. Kind of look over their shoulder toward the camera because they know where it's at. Just randomly looking around and pointing at stuff. You know, talking, having conversation. In a movie set, the extras ain't even talking to each other half the time. And nobody pays this stuff any attention. So the forensic profiling tell it all. The FBI file to tell even more. From the profile of a forensic analysis, he ain't dead. From the FBI file, skeptical. From the Las Vegas investigation, more evidence he's alive than dead. Now, if we really get into this master number, you got to get the master number understood, because this master number is a very, very intricate part of what he was trying to accomplish. He ain't done. Matter of fact, if you really want to know the truth, he just getting started. And so we go to where he say, I'm not saying, that one song played. Maybe I can play it. Let's see if I can get it up here. What he was saying. Now, I don't know if y'all be able to hear this, but I'm gonna try to play it. And I want to see how it come across on here. Nope, that ain't the right one. Okay, so right now I'm looking for a Tupac song interview that I have on here, where he's saying that he might not change the world, but he guarantee you. No, yeah, that's the one. The one where he's say, let's not be selfish. Oh. No, that's Haitian Jack. I want y'all to hear this. Because this is important to an understanding of what the brother was doing. Anyway, so as I go into this, before I wrap it all up, to tell you that Tupac lives, I want y'all to hear some of the brother words, because then it's going to make so much more sense. And no, that's not. Still looking. Tupac is looking to have a successful military style campaign in order to get the power back to the people. and he's seeking assistance from the one that they call as the Lodge call him, and he's trying to wake him up with the master number, the 22. And in waking him up with this master number 22, he get to lay the foundation for a resurrection of the righteous. And he get to solidify his name in the history books. It's Tupac Amaru Shakur, one of the ones who opened the way, as an opener of the way. Now, if you don't know what that means, go to Kemet and look up opener of the way and the opening of the mouth ceremony, and look who's present at the opening of the mouth ceremony and what does it mean. Because all these things become relevant in unraveling the story. So the people that wanted it decided that they would push a button on him by sending crooked cops to take him out. Only another group of people discovered it and intervened. And when they discovered it to intervene, they allowed him the opportunity to escape with his life intact in order to start laying the foundation for the one that he tried to use master keys to awaken, known as Hiram. Being born under the Gemini, he was be able to embody both the masculine and the feminine from the divine principles. And most people believe that that's going to be enough for him to raise Hiram, because that strong divine feminine presence with his divine masculine influence will allow him to reach out and raise Hiram. But only a woman can raise Hiram. No man can raise Hiram. It's not possible. And anybody that think a man, because he attained a level of mastery sufficient to wake Hiram, is a damn fool. And so when you look over the whole analysis of Tupac, follow the money. Follow the money. Suge didn't leave with any. Outlaws didn't leave with none. Death Row didn't even leave with no money. Even Death Row, the record company, didn't even leave with. Now, Pac sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of music after he died, or allegedly died, I should say. But of them hundreds of millions of dollars, the only thing he got was what Finney had to fight for. She was prepared for the fight. And I take this time as I get ready to close this one out. I've been here a long time, much longer than I anticipated. But Tupac not dead. You gonna see him this year. He gonna come see about me. And when he comes see about me, all these motherfucking imposters, all these infiltrators who don't want to relinquish the throne, all of these sellout niggas that done crossed us out. I know who they is, and they know who they is too, and Pac know who they is. All these motherfuckers has been in the way of the progress. They're gonna be corrected. They're gonna be corrected. I ain't come to this shit to kiss nobody ass. I don't owe nobody shit. Don't nobody owe me shit. I've been fighting this shit for thousands of years by myself. God damn it, about time my little brother came home. Because every time that motherfucker try to help me, they try to do something to stop him. When he was Tut, they ran him over with a goddamn chariot. When he was King Tut in Egypt, they ran him over with a chariot. Same dude. You call him Tupac, I call him Tut. He the real King Tut. Not that imposter in New York. he the real King Tut. Tupac Amaru is Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun. Over here, it's the same name, Tupac Amaru. Tutankhamun. It's the same name. It's the only difference is the language over here and the language over there. It's dialectical, but it's the same name. Tupac Amaru is Tutankhamun. Shakur, thankful to God. but it ain't just God. Go study the name Shakur. Find out which God is in that name. And then it'll start to make more sense. Now, I'm going to redo this later with videos and soundbite if it's required. And I'm just going to go down the line and point out all of the anomalies next time. But as for right now, this would be enough information to get y'all started on your investigation. The 3 cars, the master keys, the follow the money trail, who got paid, who didn't get paid, who suffered, who didn't suffer. Now, at the close of the age, all those who suffered for righteousness' sake will be compensated greatly. Remember that, people that's watching. If you've been suffering and you think there is no end to that shit, it's an end to it. I'm here to tell you it's an end to it. And that suffering and the end to it comes when the 50 sisters and the 50 niggas had 100 monkey effect and we all wake the fuck up. We see what's going on in front of our face. Now, I can't really get busy on this like I want to because I got a lot of restrictions on me about this information because I don't want nobody to get killed that is coming to assist me. So you got to remember, I can only give y'all a limited amount of information until I get a clearance to give y'all the next level of information. This level, to some people, seem a little higher than normal, and some people would say normal, a little lower. But it's only to point out some anomalies to look at. Machiavelli was in exile, and he was courting Lorenzo de Medici, who was coming to power. That's what Machiavelli means. Niccolo Machiavelli never faked his death. However, he advocated it. Niccolo Machiavelli advocated faking his death. But that's not where Tupac got it from. He got it from Arthur Rimbaud. Now watch Eddie and the Cruisers and you will understand how this plays out. Because in the Eddie and the Cruiser story, I'm supposed to be Sal. But I never made it to be an outlaw. Morpheus Hitler, the bitch nigga cleanser, the worst of the outlaws. I didn't never get in because I had work I had to go do. When you hear Tupac's song, when he say penitentiary is packed with promise makers, he's talking about me, never realizing the precious time that bitch niggas is wasted. He talking about me, institutionalized. I live my life a product made to crumble. He telling me, nigga, you don't sit your ass in that motherfucking cage studying all that goddamn law shit. It was necessary to get y'all out. It was necessary. I wasn't wasting time like he thought I was. I knew what I was doing. I've been woke. I just had to act like I was a mindless animal like the rest of the niggas in order to get the information needed to liberate these motherfuckers. Don't nobody gotta believe me. It's gonna all play out in front of y'all face this year. It won't be no more secret. And he gonna tell y'all, the nigga told y'all what was up and y'all thought he was joking. And so in closing, Tupac Amaru Shakur is the crown prince and emperor of the what they call the Caliph Narnia, or Cali, the land of Narnia, which is California, which is Cali and Narnia. Narnia being the place, meaning the land. It's all symbols and symbolic, and it's twisted up in the word game. And so the land that Tupac have a birthright to, that he was trying to assert, and y'all don't understand this, is the Rocky Mountains west from the Canadian border south into Central America. That's his land. He is the crown prince. He has sole right to dictate that land, but they had this false government laying on top of his shit, and he don't like it. And I don't like him on mine either. I don't like them on mine either. You got to remember that. The imposters got to go. They're going to leave. And now that this video goes out and people get to understand it on a different level, Tupac was escaping an assassination attempt by the Jewish Defense League, CIA, and COINTELPRO. They was trying to execute Tupac for making connections in the underground using the music as a front. The same way they use the music as a front to get their hip-hop police like Jeezy to infiltrate people like the BMF, pretend to be an artist, use a number so that their name never appear in the paperwork. Never realizing that if the name don't appear in the paperwork and you with a motherfucker every day to get indicted, the only number in there got to be your name. Do the math. If 50 motherfuckers is together every day, 49 indictments get in and come down and one motherfucker walk, that's your plan. It ain't never happened in the hood, and every nigga in the hood that's seen the indictments, never seen 49 niggas that's together all the time get indicted and number 50 walk. Now, I don't know the dude. I'm just telling you what I see from my experiences in the hood. I never seen 49 niggas together every day. Nobody dispute this dude with him. But his name ain't in the paperwork. And everybody name in the that's not in the paperwork, there's only one, and only one number. That's called a deep cover agent. They got a word for it. I can't think of it right now. It's a word for the deep cover agent, but they give him a number. He's not a confidential informant. Y'all got to remember, the police officer is different from the informant or the snitch. There's a difference. The police officer's job is to gather information about a criminal act. The snitch job is to commit the crimes and tell on your ass so he can get away. Now they telling no motherfuckers and they're not even getting no benefit from it. They're just telling to be telling. There's no way you're supposed to tell on the motherfucker and still go to prison. No way. But because they don't know what they're getting into and they in over their head and they fucking with these people without knowing what they supposed to be taught as children and coming in contact with these people, how to handle themselves. And so you get to see that there was a government involvement. They was trying to kill the brother. The brother knew what was up. He had people in place with a contingency in case of the attempted assassination. The whole movie, Machiavelli, the 3-Day Theory, was always written as the rule, as the escape plan. You got to remember, if they was going to kill him in Atlantic City, he would have been filming the movie in Atlantic City instead of Vegas. It didn't matter where he was going. He knew when they was coming because they have to force him to be somewhere where they had no way of knowing he would be. They had to force him there. Go back and investigate. David Kenner got a court order to send him to Vegas. David Kenner made money. Ted Fields made money. Jimmy Iovine made money. Suge didn't make no money. Death Row Records didn't make no money. And the little bit of money Tupac got, his mama had to fight for it. So if you don't get to see who was behind the attempt and how he had to use that method to get out of there, because he couldn't go it alone. I'm used to fighting alone. I'm good. I'm used to fighting. I don't give a fuck if these motherfuckers don't never listen to me, because as soon as they motherfucker take the brakes off, I'm tearing shit the fuck up. I'm telling y'all now, as soon as they take the brakes off, because these physical bodies got brakes on them. These physical bodies got brakes, but they're not going to keep them. What you call junk DNA is going to unlock the brakes. But certain things have to be put into motion first. And when they take the brakes off, all them fake ass leaders I done been reaching out to act like they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I tell them Hiram is here and I'm trying to tell you motherfuckers, I'm going to start turning off their hearts and their brains while they in the middle of a goddamn speech. Because I want motherfuckers to see. I'm going to turn off their heart and I'm going to turn off their fucking brains. Now, I only got a couple more to reach out to. And all of these motherfuckers that think this shit a joke and y'all don't understand what a Grail King is, when y'all realize what's taking place, if you ain't did your diligence to be righteous, it's gonna be too goddamn late. The unrighteous don't go beyond the motherfucking resurrection period. And that's why they come to separate the wheat from the tare, the righteous from the wicked, because the wicked cannot go on, because we're not going to keep letting them eat the babies. We're not going to keep letting them rape the women. We're not going to keep letting them rape with little boys and little girls. We're not going to let them keep doing it. So when we put a stop to this shit, it's going to have a backlash. The vibration of the earth is going to go up. When the vibration of the earth go up, anything that does not have righteousness written on it will not vibrate on the right frequency, and it cannot exist. Your frequency will be wrong. You will be running a 9-volt nigga on a 250,000 volt woman, and his circuit's gonna overload. And so with that, I'm telling y'all, before y'all see Tupac and Maru Shakur, y'all need to get the fuck up. Because when my brothers step out here and say, morph, from general to general, nigga, rally the troops. You discipline these niggas and not teach them to shoot. Shall we pillage and loot or just invade the game? A hostile takeover, put their heads in flames. Make them remember the names and teach them in history. Mystic and military minds playing shrouded in mystery. Y'all gonna see it. And in leaving, I'm not gonna say all eyes on me. I'm gonna say y'all eyes gonna see. Y'all eyes gonna see. And in that, I say, I'll leave y'all with this. And I want y'all to understand this clearly. Everything's gonna be all right. We coming back like we said we would. And them thugs and G's are happy that we coming back. Nigga, straight to the hood. And that's how we do. Now, if y'all don't understand, I'm going to tell y'all again. Tupac had to fake his death to escape assassination plot by the Jewish Defense League laid down by record company executive Jewish Defense League members in cahoots with your federal government under the COINTELPRO, which they got a whole birth certificate that was written for me almost 75 years before I was born. And they've been looking for me ever since. It's called the Counterintelligence Program Mission Statement is my birth certificate. They wrote it on the heels of a ceremony that was done in Detroit, Michigan. If you go back into the newspapers, you're going to find what they call the Voodoo Cult of Islam article. The Voodoo Cult of Islam talks about a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice made in the city of Detroit. There had to be 3 sacrifices. I'm not going to tell y'all the other 2, but I know who they were. So with these blood sacrifices, the individual being sacrificed in order for the people that's oppressed to be liberated, have to freely give of themselves, their life blood, in order to satisfy that wicked motherfucker and compel him to leave. Self-sacrifice is the highest sacrifice, and this is why you have a biblical crucifixion story of the Christ, which is not the Christ, which is the Son of Man. The Christ is a woman. And anybody tell you the Christ is a man and tell you he the Christ is a goddamn lie, and he's a beast, and he's an antichrist, and his ass is the next to be executed. So the whole thing boils down to now is the time is now. If anybody get this message out on a bigger platform, y'all gonna see what happens. The time is up, the time is now. All y'all eyes gonna see. Y'all eyes gonna see. So when you get there and you find out about the blood sacrifice at the Voodoo Cult of Islam, then you know what one of the 3 sacrifices was. Now you remember, you gotta have 3. You gotta have 3 sacrifices. They gotta be self-sacrifices. It can't be an unsuspecting and unwitting person that comes in and sacrifices and gets sacrificed. It don't work like that. In order for righteousness to prevail, the sacrifice has to be a self-sacrifice. In order for wickedness to rebel, the sacrifice has to be an imposed external sacrifice by a wicked force. Now, In order to do that sacrifice, you got to have the Grail King blood, but you got to be ignorant enough to follow their pattern and do the execution. And when they send your dumb ass out there to kill that motherfucker, you're killing yourself and don't even know it. And with that, I hope I was able to get some clarification on why Tupac did what he did, why he not dead, why he about to show up, and that several other artists that y'all thought was dead, not. And Michael Jackson's living under the name David now. And he can stop worrying because I'm going to take care of his motherfucking ass. And I'm going to tell y'all in another video what his attempted assassination that he escaped was all about. Because the same motherfuckers was calling him Jewish Defense League. The same motherfuckers was threatening Jewish Defense League. Now, they got two options. The JDL got two options. They can bring me the keys to the house, or I can burn that bitch down. They know what I'm talking about. They can bring me the keys to the house, or I can burn that bitch down because they don't got the support they had before. They don't got the support they had before to do that bullshit. It's my turn. They got to go. And all these artists want to know how to keep their money and be able to contribute to the beautification of this planet with their art. I don't care if it's painting. I don't care if it's drawing. I don't care if it's music. I don't care if it's videography. I don't care if it's weaving. If we don't get to the place where we are controlling our art, we can't clean this shit up, because the art is the tool. The art is the spiritual exercise needed. The singing and the dancing. This is the Pied Piper story. This is what they after R. Kelly for, which y'all don't understand. They think R. Kelly me. He ain't. Because they wouldn't be doing that dumbass shit to me. Because my interaction is not the same as his. Anyway, when he started calling himself the Pied Piper R&B, he marked himself as a false Christ. Because they knew he didn't have the birthday. He wasn't in the correct geography to be saying this. He hadn't done no jail time. So they already knew he wasn't a Pied Piper. And so that's what his is about. Prince, because now notice, 2018 come around, the 22-year mark, they had to get rid of Prince because his name is Prince. And they looking for the crown prince. He ain't the one they know because he's been around too long and he haven't done the work. So they got to move him so it won't be no mistake who the crown prince is. Now, they take him out the way. I'm kind of iffy on if he even gone. I'm kind of iffy on if he even gone. Or if that was another one of the elders helping him to escape. And so with that, y'all know why Tupac did it. Y'all know who he was trying to get away from. Y'all know who he was reaching out to. Y'all know that he was trying to school and educate every major artist of his day in the game, who in turn he expected to educate every minor artist that was coming up under them to become a major artist later. Every one of the artists that you know as your favorite artists are all linked together some kind of way, and I'm not going to get too deep into that right now. But focus on the arts. Liberate the arts, you liberate the women. You liberate the women, you liberate the planet. You liberate the planet, you liberate all of us. It's just that simple. So this is why he focused on the music and the acting, because you got to start there first. Now, it's some more stuff about him that I'm not going to tell y'all, because he got to tell y'all that, because I don't know how to give it to y'all in the manner that'll clean it up and make it look right. But all of the artists need to be able to get what they got coming. We can shine now. All of us can shine now, because you were supposed to be, because you wasn't allowed to shine before. You free. You can shine. But if you don't shine, it ain't nobody's fault but yours. What do I mean shine? You can let that light out that motherfucking dark place it's in. You can reveal your God status self. You can start seeing through the bullshit now. It's okay. We done been victorious in heaven. These motherfuckers don't have a chance down here now. They got no motherfucking heavenly support. I'm the only one with the support of the heavens, so they definitely can't win. They definitely can't win. Mama on her way. And everybody think this is a fucking joke, gonna have a sad and rude awakening. She on her way, and she gonna take the brakes off her son and all these motherfuckers that don't act right. Now you're gonna know how to make them act right. I'm gonna show you. And with that, remember, y'all eyes gonna see 2019, the return of Tupac Amaru Shakur. And I'm not gonna tell y'all who. I'm not gonna tell y'all where it's gonna be. Keep your eyes open. Y'all eyes gonna see. And with that, I'll leave y'all. Hope y'all learned something. I hope I didn't go too much off, but I sure went way over the intended hour to drop this that I was gonna go. So with that, I'm grateful for the support and for all of the people that watched. Now you know, and I'm thinking before I go. So this is the last thing I'm gonna tell y'all before I go. This is a Nipsey Hussle situation. Look at the funeral and look at the colors. You got a red lodge and the blue lodge that's been at odds to War of the Roses for years. The red lodge and the blue lodge been warring for years. The red lodge and the blue lodge has been warring for years. Go back to Nipsey's funeral. I'm going to say it again. The red lodge and the blue lodge has been warring for years. It's the War of the Roses. It's the York Rite and the Scottish Rite been warring for years. Go back to the funeral. I'm not going to give y'all all the secrets. I'm just going to tell y'all to look, because the God in you going to start waking up when you start seeing this shit that I'm pointing out. Go back to the funeral. Remember, the red lodge and the blue lodge have been trying to overcome each other for years. Look at the colors. Look at the overseers of the arrangements. Be not deceived. Proof. And don't let those who fear me put on these shows to deceive you into something different. The red and the blue lodge were fighting at odds for years to raise Hiram. Everybody want to be the one. Everybody want to be the ass kisser to come through and say, I did my part. Because I already told them motherfuckers at the beginning, when I laid the foundations, I told them in the beginning, when I come back, this is not going to be no motherfucking carrying no goddamn sticks and marching. If you see me tell a motherfucker to march and they look like me, we finna tear this bitch up as soon as we get done marching. Because the only marches I believe in is a death march or a war march. And when I say death march, I mean marching dead motherfuckers out the grave. And that's not a mistake or a misspoken term. A death march. The Cinco de Mayo, motherfucker. Cinco fucking de Mayo. The death march. The zombie apocalypse is what I'm talking about. They know what the fuck I'm talking about. Trump know what I'm talking about. That's why he was scrambling to build the wall. He already did his part. I ain't gonna march these dead motherfuckers unless these other niggas don't act right. They know who they is. I done reached out to all of them talking about they travelers. You motherfuckers can't travel across the goddamn street because you can't read a goddamn travel sign. Stupid motherfuckers. How the fuck is you raised and passed and you can't see? How the fuck is you raised and passed and you can't see the signs? You can't read that shit. By the time you get to the master degree, goddammit, motherfucker, you supposed to be able to know when this nigga say he Hiram, you gonna ask him, how long did you study? 35 to 45 years. Tell me about your lineage. My father had the name of a king in the blood, and my mama had the name of the saint, and she had the blood of the royalty. Motherfucker, where you come from? I come from the land of the three Orients, motherfucker. Orient Township, and motherfucking Lake Orient. How the fuck was you raised? By the master with the master grip, the lion's paw, motherfucker. The gene that was raised under the sign of the motherfucking Leo, who was born to the mama named Mimi. Motherfucker, check it out. Tell me I ain't the fucking one. So y'all know I had y'all goddamn chance. And y'all know I almost got my brothers killed. Now it's time to play games. War games, motherfucker, and they ain't always physical. War games, and they ain't always physical. Remember that. Y'all eyes gonna see should have been the name of this goddamn video. Because all y'all eyes gonna fucking see. And every one of you motherfuckers that think I'm on some bullshit, when she get here, you motherfuckers gonna be changed on the spot. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Then he told you the story in pop culture. Go watch Panther. Go watch Planet of the Apes. All of them. Go watch The Matrix. They told you. Nigga, Morpheus transformed like Decepticons. The way I go hard, nigga, call me Genghis Khan. You can sound the alarm. I'm about to set this shit off. And I love my people. Thank you.